so have a seat.
Okay. Is this an okay spot?
Yeah, well, it's got a lot of glare in the
I
window.
saw a little bit of your thing.
Did you?
A little bit. I had a few minutes the other day. Not a lot. It was really cute. Yeah.
But did you see the one with
bounced
Joyce
around.
Weeks?
No.
That was funny.
No,
We were having fun.
The first one when you were leaving.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was very clever.
Yeah, very.
And then I jumped to another one where you were sitting inside your rig and sewing. You had a wool project. You were quilting it. I think it was cute.
So
I gotta find more time to watch.
This time of year, it's really difficult. It's like this morning I was stitching. I wanted to actually play with something that came in the mail, but I haven't allowed myself because once I get off track.
I know, I'm just
Then, I know.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
I know. So, tell me, when did you first start doing wool? Has it been all along in your quilting? Or?
Well, I hadn't done much wool until, I don't know, I bet it was 4 or 5 years ago, and it was during Quilters Affair. And Sue was there, and I was teaching, and I mean, we were friends, we knew each other and through teaching, but Sue Spargo. And then Jean, of course, you know how Jean Wells is, it's like, oh, you two need to teach together. This is during the quilt show
You
week.
are great personalities together, though. I mean.
And we're like, and she goes, okay, next year, next, whenever it was going to be, a year from that, and it's during quilt show, and we're both, 5 classes, stuff every night. And she goes, okay, I need a title, I need la la la. And Sue and I were just like, okay, whatever. And I think that's when we taught that class together. I think you were in that class.
That was a great class.
That was fun. So ever since then,
and I am right now, because of Sue, I am still working on the embellishment stitches, but I'm going to love that project.
The cuppa?
No, the one you and Sue taught that I was.
That one.
That was really great. Quilting. Have you always been a seamstress or a quilter, or did you come from a family of quilters?
I did. I grew up in Portland, and my mother was quite talented, and she did a lot of cross stitch, needlepoint, rug hooking. She was a painter.
What was her name?
Quite a flair, Marjorie Hood, and so she always had a project going on. So at a young age, I loved to get those kits you find everything's in there, the needle, the embroidery floss, and the printed on the
right.
I just loved doing those. And so I never did needlepoint, interestingly enough, even though that was really her thing. Several of her pieces. And then I got way into cross stitch. Of course, I still have a closet full. And then I also got in.
I love that you do cross stitch. I have a whole project box of cross stitch.
I was really into it for a long time, but now I can hardly. It's for some reason it seems much more difficult to see than.
Well, I have to use the mag eyes.
I'd have to get something every time I pull it out. I think, whoa.
Yeah, especially since I also got hooked on the linen.
Well, yeah, and you have to go over two, and I love the smaller.
I was never good at math and geometry, so it's just like.
So I did a lot of that, and I got into crochet out here. A group of us were crocheting rugs, and everything you can think of. And then I learned to knit early on. There was
a knitter
shop in Sisters, and the woman had, and so I knit a lot. So it's always been handwork. It's interesting. I've lived in all these little places, and I never had room to take up quilting for a long time. So I'd go into the stitching post. Well, when are you going to learn to quilt? When are you going to learn to quilt? Well, I always sewed a little, sort of, and so I was always buying fabric or something. But I never really had a very big place to spread out, and so it was just interesting. Because then it was just much easier to do handwork anyway, and that's what I really loved. So it was like,
it kind of combines it all.
Yeah.
I 80% of my stuff is handwork, and I think it's because I like cross stitch, I like embroidery.
Right.
I did needlepoint, and so quilting and handwork is just another handwork.
Right.
You always have stitching near your chair. Mm-hmm. And it looks like not only wool, but hand applique.
Yep. Pine cones.
Pine
We're living here in
cones.
Camp Sherman.
Oh, yeah.
Pine cones. So that's
Pine cones.
I have a new pine cone pattern.
And then that's a sweet
That's-
little, is that pincushion?
That's the last in that series of 3.
And
I gotta
there's
put the center
our
in.
girlfriend's book.
Yeah, always
Yeah.
handy.
Yeah.
Have that nearby.
Always handy.
Always.
So tell me about your other passions besides quilting and stitching.
Okay. Other passions besides quilting and stitching. Well, we're pretty active, my husband and I, and we love to sail. We're offshore sailors, and we've done a lot of that and try to get to that as often as we can. Of course, I'm a kind of a quilt roadie wannabe, but then I got to thinking about it, and I thought, well, we kind of have an RV. It just happens to be a boat. It happens to be on water.
Yeah, you could so do
I
this.
still have my little drawer full of my handwork, so, I don't take a sewing machine.
But you do prep stuff and take it on the boat with you.
Always.
Always.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to have something.
Yeah, don't you feel a little anxious if you might think you'd run out of something to stitch?
Oh, very anxious.
Yeah.
Very anxious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I try to have lots of stuff prepared. And knitting is if we're underway, I can actually knit a little bit if I don't have to think or count. But
Are you one of those knitters that don't even have to look at your hands when you're knitting?
if it's I can do a little bit of that if it's just a plain knit and I'm not making anything fancy.
So how far is your boat from here? When you decide to go out on the ocean, where are you?
Okay, for many years, well, in 1992 and 2002 and 2003, we took our two boys out of school. They were in 7th grade and 9th grade, and we sailed to Mexico from Portland. Took a year. Oh. And so we left it there, and we would drive to Mexico, the Sea of Cortez, every year for 12 years and visit the boat for a couple months. And then 2 years ago, our oldest son and then our neighbors who have 3 boys, their youngest son and my husband and I sailed from Mexico to Tahiti. And so I did lots of sewing projects.
Right.
Although I didn't do a lot on the crossing. It was 24 days. And I could do a little bit of knitting, but it was pretty rolly. And so now it's in Tahiti. And it's...
Your boat's in Tahiti?
It is.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, we gotta
you mean
figure out-
you gotta go get it? You gotta go back?
So we were there in September and October for 2 months because when we arrived there 2 years ago, we didn't have enough time to really look around. Although we had visited all these beautiful other islands between the first set and by the time we got to Tahiti. So we had a couple of months just discovering those islands and doing that. And now it's there, but they only let you leave it there for 3 years before you have to pay an import duty or leave.
Oh my God.
So the next plan this time next year will be to get it to Hawaii. So that's
Hawaii.
the next. Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm not sure if I'll make that trip or not, but I would love to, but I found that I'm not strong enough. I'm really not.
Oh.
It's hard work. It's hard, and if something really, we didn't have any issues really.
Right.
And we wouldn't.
But
we
I
don't
always-
plan on ever having any issues. But if we did, I'm afraid it could be.
I always love people when they think if you're sailing that you're laying on the bow of the boat in your
no.
bikini and
No.
just kind of relaxing with your little Mai Tai.
And sometimes we are. Sometimes it is like that if you're just parked.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, this trip across the ocean, which was a dream come true, but there were many times when I sat there and thought, so-and-so would just really hate this. Or
Yeah.
this person would,
Yeah.
Most of my friends, it's like,
Right,
this
right.
wouldn't be.
You can't just run off to the quilt store and get that certain
and
color
no,
of
and
thread.
it's just kind of, it's just hard to stand up even. Get to the bathroom without hurting yourself.